Shalom. I want to start this off by giving honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Wahawa Kakudash. Yes, a lot. Peace and salutations to the elect men, starting with the elders of GMS on down, who push forth the will and doctrine of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, diligently day by day, according to the true understanding of the scriptures. To all of you, I say Shalom. It's just a fairly quick, it's like a fairly quick lesson. Just something I was meditating on, and basically, I made a note of it, but it'll basically be in regards to, we may not know the exact moment when the Lord will come, but we do know to be ready for his coming, so we may not know the exact hour or the exact day, but we know through measuring the times is drawing nigh, and we also know from what the Lord's directed to us, we can now start getting ready. It isn't to say that it's exactly this moment, like it's been that, as far as getting ready. It's been the time to get ready, right? But with you now knowing, for those that have, just been introduced, to the true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, right? Who the world ignorantly calls simply just God, in the name of Jesus Christ, if you will, right? To say that in the holy tongue, in the Hebrew tongue, right? That ancient Hebrew, the Lashawan Kodash, the holy tongue, it would be Yahweh, being the Most High. He is, right? He to be, by Hashem, right? In the name Yahweh Shai, right? He's salvation. So with all of that, like with all of that being now introduced to you, right? You are now in a position to where you can start getting ready with that information. The Lord, He's not gonna give it to you to not do nothing with it. He gonna give it to you so that way you can actually utilize the time that you do have to get yourself right, get yourself prepared, and make sure that you got your head on a swivel. You making sure that you have all your affairs in order, that you got your house in order, and that you spiritually built to receive that salvation when that time comes, So I just got a few scriptures, or a few accounts, I should say, specifically, and we're just going to jump straight into it, right? So this is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 42. It says, "Watch therefore, for ye know not what time, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come." You see, it says, "But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched." You see, it says, "and would not have suffered his house to be broken up." So if the good man knew the exact moment, you'd be automatically jumping ahead, But don't let you not knowing the exact time and the exact moment lead you astray into thinking that he not coming. Don't let that type of thought, that type of spirit come upon you, to where now you get slothful because you don't know how much time. We're never gonna know. That's not the case. The Lord gave us the tools needed to be able to measure the times, right? And to measure them diligently, so that way we can understand what's to come, what's happening right now in this moment, and what happened before. It's like the saying that you don't know where you're going unless you know where you came from, right? With our history within this book, right? Because it's our history book, where we came from, so you know what to expect or what to see as far as what's to come, forward in the future, because the things that have been are the things that shall be. right? And as well as understanding the things that were written aforetime, written for our learning, right? So when you go into the Apocrypha and it tells you to measure the time diligently, right? And it's telling you of all these different things. You're reading of all the seditions. You're reading of all these different things that's being mentioned to happen in the future. We're able to see those things happening now, right? And with all these things happening now, we still have to be making sure that we're staying on top of what it is that we need to stay on top of, which is getting your house and your affairs in order, making sure that you're on point in the spirit, making sure that you're on point in the flesh, you know what I'm saying? Because it's hand in hand. And you want to make sure that you're ultimately in a position to where you're able to receive that salvation, you know? So, even though we don't know the exact time, we've still been warned nonetheless, right? So, because of the fact that we don't know the exact time, that should put it in your mind even farther or even more to want to be on top of it, to want to get ahead and put yourself in a position to where you're able to be in good standing and be prepared for when it does come, you know? Because when it comes, it's because you've already been prepping for what's to come. It's not gonna how would I say, it's not gonna be something to catch you off guard, you know, because you've already had your guard prepared, if that makes sense, right? So continuing here, it says, verse 44, right? Therefore be ye also ready, you see, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh, you know? So in the midst of you being in the world but not being in the evil of the world, you know what I'm saying, using the world but not abusing the world, you know, the way that you not abusing it and that you not being caught up in the evil of it is by still being mindful of what's going on, what's happening, right? So when things do hit the fan or you know what I'm saying, you're already set because you've been meditating on it. You've already had your mind prepped for these things that are to come, you know? And that isn't to say that you're going to know exactly all the things that are to come or how it's going to play out, but nonetheless, if you've already fortified your mind, then and you've been putting your trust and faith in the Lord, He's gonna make sure that you're well protected. You know, He's gonna give you that strength, as it says in Isaiah 26 and 3 and 4. You know, you want to trust in Him. You know what I'm saying? And really, I'll just grab it real quick. Just a quick one. It's like Satan trying to get in the way here. It says, Isaiah 26 and 3, it says, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee. You see? It says, trust ye in the Lord forever. For in the Lord, Shalak, you saying that it's trying to intervene. But it says, trust ye in the Lord forever, for in the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Satan, is everlasting strength, you know? So when you trust in Him, right, and when you have your mind stayed on Him, He's going to keep you in perfect peace, right? And He's going to give you that everlasting strength. And that's what we're going to need in the times to come, because that's what we're able to read and see within the scriptures, you know? So those are all things to stay mindful of, right? As well as being mindful of the evils and the horrible things that are to come and the great things that are to come, you know? Because you keeping this in mind while knowing those things is what's going to help keep you balanced, you know? When you on that very narrow path, you know what I'm saying? Having both the good and the evil is what's going to help you to stay balanced, you know? And that's what that's the Lord's just weight, you know? A balance. So jumping back to the Matthew 24, right? I'm gonna read verse 44 again. It says, therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. It says, Who then is a faithful and wise servant? It says, who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom is the Lord, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season. You see? So if you're faithful, right? If you're a faithful servant, the Lord is going to make you ruler over his household, you know, and he's going to give you the meat that you desire, you know. And that just makes me think of real quick Psalms 37, right? In verse 3, it says, trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. You see that meat. It says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. You see? So with you trusting in him and delighting in him and putting your faith in him and following him and learning how to be of him, right? Then you're put in a position to, again, lead by example, you know, to others, which is also a part of the works that you are to be doing now. And then on top of that, you're fortifying your mind, right? Because you're putting your trust in him and you're not allowing the affairs of this world to instill fear into you, you know, to where you're faint-hearted. The Lord didn't give us the spirit of fear, you know. He gave us the spirit of a sound mind, right? As it says. This is 2 Timothy 1 and verse 7. It says, for God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. You see? So we're going to be well fortified in the mind. We're going to make sure that we're well suited, and we are well fortified to be able to deal with all the things that come our way, you know? And that's what's going to be such of a blessing, you know? It's going to be even more of a blessing. It's going to be even more relief. You're going to have so much more to rejoice on having gotten yourself right now. You know what I'm saying? Versus trying to get it done later. You know, that's what the next verse, the next chapter in Matthew goes into. You know what I'm saying? Matthew 25, right? The 5 wise and the 5 foolish virgins. This is the time to get yourself well stocked up on that oil. You know. You get yourself trained in how to take care of your candle, you know what I'm saying, and the wick, and trimming it, knowing how to make sure how to keep that light burning, so that way you can make it to the marriage, you know. So jumping back right to that Matthew 24, it says verse 45, who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season. You see, so that's what we striving for, as far as being that servant that's getting ready, right? Verse 46, it says, blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. You see, so you're gonna be blessed with you getting yourself ready now and getting yourself prepared now, right? The Lord, he gonna put you aside. He gonna make sure that you're not getting caught up in the vengeance that's coming, you know, to the world right now, right? So, you know, it's just all these things are that's being spoke on within the scriptures are things that you want to fortify yourself with. You know what I'm saying? Have this be at your core. You know, you having this at your core, your center. Whatever you deal with is gonna be in alliance with that. You know, if it's at the core, it can touch all things. Just like how you want to keep your how about Shemel Shai as the core. You know, and really you keeping that word is you keeping Hawah Shai at the core. You know, so this is jumping to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, and this is going into that thief, right? So like this is it's fucking fly. But it says, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. Right? Why? Because we've already been warned. You see? So this is what we do know, you know, from the Lord, is that we could be ready for his coming. Right? It says, verse 2, for yourselves know perfectly that in the day of the Lord, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. You see? For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. You see? Don't be caught up like these people that are constantly just eating and drinking and giving in marriage. You know, we want to be in that Noah mentality, right? The eighth person, you know, the eight persons mentality. Getting yourself right, pushing and professing this word till you can't no more. You know, do all that you can now because you know that you can never go far enough, right? You want to store your riches in the heavens, where moth and rust can't corrupt. You know, this is the time to be doing that. This is the moment to be doing that. You know, don't wait. There ain't no time to be stagnant, because when you are stagnant, you're falling behind. You know, and we don't got time for that. So it says, because if with you doing that, you put yourself in a position to not be able to escape. We're running this race. You know, we're running this race to master it and receive the mastery, to be temperate in all these things. You know, being a master and being temperate is what's going to allow you to be fortified in the mind for when things go, you know what I'm saying, haywire. You are already ready. You are in the position that you need to be in, right? So continuing, it says, right, verse 4, but ye brethren are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. You see, we're not in darkness. We're not in that position where we're thinking peace and safety, you know, where we're thinking we all good right when sudden destruction hit us, you know what I'm saying, or hits down. It ain't gonna hit us because we're not in that darkness. But it says, ye are the children of light. You see, it says, and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness, you know. And what does it say in Matthew 5:16? It says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. You see? So with you being that light, you also being a light to others that's in darkness, you know? To help our people, help the elect to be woken up, to arise. Because this isn't the time to rest. This is the time to be up. This is the time to be paying attention, you know? Like the brother Padiah said, like, you know, you watching these lessons, you need to have your sword out, following along, you know, because it helps. That's like you able to hear the word, you know what I'm saying, but also visually looking at it is like two ways. Yeah, Salakia. Satan trying to intervene on the message. The phone got overheating. But it's called to we still in this. So the spirit don't get quenched now when it's hot. This is Matthew 5 and verse 16 again. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Right? So again, you being that light unto others, you know, while you being a light for yourself, you know. Salakia. So with you being that light, you know, not being of the darkness, you know, you able to see the path that you need to go, right? And with you seeing it, you know where to move, and you moving with urgency, you know. We not tearing, we not taking no, we not. This isn't the time to have your feet kicked back, you know what I'm saying, kicked up, if you will, slide. not have your feet kicked up, you know, because we're not settled on our leaves. This isn't the time to rest. This is the time to profess the Lord's word for others to be able to see, you know, for others to be able to wake up out of sleep, you know, help gather the elect and seal them, you know. That's what we ought to be doing now with this, having that light and having this word, you know. So and that also brings me to this is John 9 and verse 4. It says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work, you know. And let me get this. It says, verse 5, as long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. So as long as we here, right, we looking to not get caught up with the evils of this world, you know, and we aren't to abuse this world, you know. We aren't to be using our liberty as a cloak of maliciousness, you know, but to be fortifying ourselves and getting ourselves prepared in the spirit and the flesh, right, and to make sure that we're in good standings with the Lord, you know. Simply put, you know. But continuing in the 1 Thessalonians, right, it says what? 1 Thessalonians 5 and 6 says, therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. You know, we aren't getting drunk off this Babylon juice. You know, we're not getting drunk on this world's doctrine, because the Lord doesn't the Lord is not for this world. He's for the world to come. Right? So we got to make sure that we're on point with that. On the world to come, not this world. And the lust that is thereof, you know, of this world. So it says, for they that sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. You see? It says, but let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet the hope of salvation. You see? The hope of salvation. That expected and expecting the Lord to follow through on his word, because he's not a man that he shall lie. You know, the Lord's word doesn't go out void. That's something to truly trust in. You know, keep that at your core. It says, verse 9, for God hath not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. You see? That's something to hold on to. That's something to be confident in. You know? Knowing that and believing in that, you ain't got no reason to be fearful, be faint-hearted. You know? Confident and austere. You're not giving yourself to nobody in any kind of way that pertaining to your, you know what I'm saying, your soul, your life. You know? But it says, verse 10, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. You see? It says, wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as ye do. Even as also ye do. You see? This is something to be comforted in. And this is me trying to comfort those that are watching. You know? Comfort yourself in knowing this. You staying 10 toes, you are being awake in the spirit and making sure that you're not caught up in this world, you know, you're not getting caught up in the affairs of this life, right? It's all going to be worth it. Being hated, being despised, buffeted, being ridiculed, looked at nasty, whatever. It don't fucking matter, you know, and I'm going to say it like that because it's what the Lord thinks that matters. It's how the Lord looks at you that matters. Are you in position to receive salvation or not? That's what matters. You know? And it says, again, wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as also ye do. You see? So, Lord willing, this is all edifying, right? I got a few more, and that'll be it. This is 2 Corinthians 4, verse 14. It says, knowing that he which raised up the Lord Yahushua shall raise up us also by Yahushua, shall present us with you. It says, for which cause we think not, but through our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. You see? So, just keep holding on and keep looking to perfect, perfect yourself spiritually, then physically. It's got to be both. You got to have that balance. You can't just be so in the flesh, to where you're not even built up in the spirit, and vice versa. You don't want to be over righteous. Still hold up that standard. But you ain't trying to be like the Pharisees, trying to be extra high and mighty, because we not perfect. But through Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, we can gain perfection. And you gain that perfection by having that balance. Right? But it continuing, it says, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. You see? This ain't nothing. This ain't nothing to what's compared to what we gonna receive. And that should keep you in high spirits. It says, verse 18, it says, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are it's like, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. You see? And that's what Hebrews 11 go on to say, right? Hebrews 11:1, it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So you gotta have faith in this. You gotta put your faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and believe, and truly believe and worship him, because he's still gonna give you that increase. Now, but how much more with the things to come, especially if you found doing good now, so that's pretty much the point. We may not know the exact moment, the exact hour of the day, but when the Lord will come, but when the Lord comes, we gonna be good, because we understood, we got ourselves ready now, and we're able to get ready for his coming now. So that's pretty much the point. Lord, and this has been edifying, right? And with that, I'm gonna say, call on Allah, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, or Yahweh Kakwadash. Stay up, stay 10 toes, keep pushing, keep fighting, keep reading, right? Give attendance to reading, Work together, show brotherly love, rebuke when you need to, reprove when you need to, Make sure that you not just being pulled or tossed to or fro by any spirit, Learn of yourself, prove your soul, see what's good and what's evil for it. Don't give what's evil to it, Be circumspect, all these different things. So, with that, shalom.